Hello, and welcome back to the Geek on My Sleeve channel. This is Geek Out number 81 over Child of Daystar, book 1 of the Wing of War book series, the Wings of War series by Bryce O'Connor. And yeah, thoroughly enjoyed the book. Kind of doing stuff out of order as far as releases go. And essentially, so we found Bryce O'Connor from two additional book series where he did collaborations with Luke Daniels and
No,
or
Chimolenko.
Luke Daniels
Daniels
is
is
the
our
narrator.
narrator
Okay.
that we enjoy so much.
Luke
That music in our ears.
Chimolenko, where he did a Mark of Kings, and he also did Iron Prince, which are collaborations, phenomenal for only book 1 being out so far for both of them.
Number 2, I think the pre-order is out or about to be out. I'll pull that up.
Oh,
So
nice.
more dragon.
Oh yeah. You can definitely tell because, like I was saying, we know Luke Chimolenko's work from Ascend Online. And yeah, you can definitely tell the heavy influence from Bryce O'Connor. So far, we're only through book 1 of the Wings of War series, and it definitely hints at more and is rolling out more like an epic fantasy or a longer winded series. Um, yeah.
Yeah. Real quick, thank you, Carlos. Yeah. Happy Father's Day to all the dads out there. You too, Carlos. Happy Father's Day, Peter.
Nope.
To all the dads.
And what better way to celebrate Father's Day than essentially becoming an orphan? I guess he was of age.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, they age differently, right? I need to look up the actual word, but essentially dragonkin. But yeah, he was
Oh,
mature.
yeah. Forewarning, Bryce O'Connor commented on this prior. Sorry for butchering all of the names.
I don't know if that was
I
Bryce, but yeah, I think it was Sherland. We're awful with names.
Okay. Never mind. It's a different
Yeah,
guy.
yeah.
Never mind.
We're even getting our authors mixed up. But anyway, yes. The Shattered Reigns Book 2 release date is 7/13/21 on Audible, and the pre-order is up. So I think we need to get some more credits for this. And wouldn't it be interesting if our Dragonkin were part of the same universe somehow between the series? Are we doing no spoilers on A Mark of Kings or his other works, or is it fair game since we've covered a Geek Out on it?
I would say
If you haven't watched our other Geek Out on it at this point, it's your own fault. We might spoiler A Mark of Kings.
yeah, let's stick to this, but
Okay.
my main thing, if since we're on the topic between the two, in this book, he hints at magic and we get a glimpse of magic, but it's not part of our main character's journey at this point in time. But at the same time, it is you are the prophesized child, and it's a part of his story as a whole. So that was a big or a heavy influence in A Mark of Kings, where we got to see some pretty intense, cool magic, but it also was very hush hush and definitely told us that you are, a child and you know nothing. So,
Yes, we do get some magic in A Child of Daystar. Not a
yeah.
whole lot. You get a bit from Grandy. We get some from our albino priestess.
Mm-hmm.
And then we get a little bit from, before I forget, and you know how Squirrel, our next book, we're talking about the main character is a squirrelkin, and you'll understand why I wanted to get a geek out on this book as we squirrel around. But Shiny, what were we talking about?
We were talking about little bits of magic. You made it to the old
Oh,
lady, the
yes, yes.
priestess, and the assassin who wants to study the old lady and how her
And
story, she betrayed the order and it has something to do with like the gods, but not the gods, but then they ripped it out of her, but then she's slowly figuring out how to get it back. So, yeah,
even though she
lot.
doesn't, yes, yes. I think that she even has some ties to um, our albino princess. I need to pull up the Kindle um, because she talks about there's only this one girl that she knows of that actually got kicked out of the order and had her power stripped from her, and she was a few years older. So this assassin,
Ah, I didn't
age
make that
wise,
connection initially. That makes sense.
yeah, yeah. Give us some grace, guys. This is our first week doing 2 Geek Outs. So Peter and I have only listened to the book a couple times instead of our like 10 times to catch the foreshadowing previously. If we miss anything, let us know, chat, comments. Um, yeah, so I'm curious to hear the
There was a lot of
backstory
potential.
there. Hmm.
Yeah, if that's actually the individual who was stripped of her powers and kicked out, that would line up. But there was a lot of like beginning of chapter quotes and
I enjoy
backup
it when
or
authors do
sidestep.
that.
Yeah, me
Yeah.
too. It's a way to hint at more without giving too much away, and you see some of that through. Yeah, okay, both. Yeah, Mark of Kings and Iron Prince.
You get
Um,
some foreshadowing and an opportunity to get like a snapshot from another character's perspective, whoever they're quoting or whoever is
mhm,
like quoting somebody else without needing another point of view character, which can be kind of difficult in the shorter books, right?
yeah.
Um, yeah, yeah. There were so many good quotes from this one as well, but continue.
Oh man, I yeah failed again. Didn't get him pulled,
It's
but
all good.
I enjoyed the way he set up the prophesied child and how through and I can't remember the name, the nomads or the people who actually take him in, as well as through the it's not this word, I'm sorry, dragonkin, um, and they have their own backstory or their own how he will be reborn through chains. But yeah, so I thoroughly enjoyed it. I'm curious to see the potential of everything, as well as like where this one left off. There's a lot of potential.
So much. I think there's, what do we say, 5 books in the first or
Yeah,
in the
there's
series.
5 in the series.
Good to
Wings of
see
War.
Karen. She said 3 hours left in the book. Summarize what happens after Raz goes assassin and albino princess goes missing. Do they meet up? And I'll extend that in this book, quote unquote, because we get some foreshadowing um, about them in the quotes in the beginning of the chapters, right?
Hmm.
Or at least, yeah. So right up until that point, he gets a job. I'm going to butcher names, but we'll just go with, one of the head bosses of the crime syndicate in the city. And Raz goes and does the job to eliminate this person, and she actually has slaves with her, right? And Raz realizes, like, oh my gosh, here I'm making excuses that I'm like helping clean up the city by eliminating this one guy here, this one guy there. But how many other people got sold into slavery because I'm doing their dirty work? Like, I'm just participating in this takeover, right? So he kills the target, he kills his quote unquote allies for the job, and then he takes the slaves and tries to help them, right? I think a couple go off on their own. But anyway, after that happens, Pete, help me fill in the details here.
So after that happens, he's now trying to right his wrongs, and he ends up starts with an M. Anyway,
His
during
cousin, right?
his cousin who
He
lost
changes
his
his name.
leg
Mhm.
during the sand cat attack.
Which is only alive because he saved him,
which is
Right.
only
That's
alive
what
because he
makes
saved him,
the
lost
heartstrings.
his leg, is
Mhm.
actually working for one of the big crime lords. And so he steals the information from them to get their accounting records. And there's only 2 copies of it anywhere because they need to keep it hush hush to launder it.
Right.
And then I think he gets away with 1 or 2 other times where he's free slaves while being hidden and underground. And then he essentially gets set up because while there's all this back and forth going on, they know that he has the information, so they scramble the jobs or they move
They even
all their
plant
slaves to
information for him, right? To
different,
set him up.
or
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, they move things, so they're kind of at a stalemate where Roz can't get any more slaves, and he's also on the run, but then he finds one and he stakes it out, and it's a pretty good fight scene in the bathhouse where
They imply into the triple digits in this ambush, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
And then we finally get a glimpse of him being able to fly. He essentially sets the bathhouse on fire, a big epic fight scene, and then he uses the fire as like an updraft, and he actually takes off. And he's like, we get that whole dramatic, I'm not going to
Yeah,
make
right.
it. And then
Did
he
the
actually
anime music
starts.
start playing in the background for you? You know, that epic scene as he's soaring finally after not being able to fly for so long.
Yep. And then
Yeah,
he
yeah.
makes it over just to get caught by a ballista bolt, which now, shucks, he can't fly.
Yeah. So Karen asks, does he manage to fly? I would say the answer is yes, kinda. He
Or the
has a
big,
moment where he flies.
yeah, he uses the fire as an updraft, and
Right.
then he starts to realize, hey, there's other muscles that he didn't even know was there. So it's kind of a instinctive thing.
Hmm.
And I think he's gonna, yeah, be able to figure it out more and more now that
Right.
he's interacted those muscles. But he can't because he has a giant ballista bolt through him,
What's a ballista bolt?
or the
He's
crossbow
an
bolt. I don't know.
MFing dragon.
Yeah,
No.
yeah, he'll be fine. But anyway,
So real quick on that note, like on the second reread for me, like it really hit home. You know, the first couple of chapters, we get to see him as his like primal, I'm, a dragonkin, right? Like hear me
mhm.
roar. He is one of the rarest of the rare of his species because a male is 1 in 20 and a winged back is even rarer and known to be like the alpha territorials of their species, right? But then, like partway through the book, he's just this awesome, BA fighter that like the first time, like, yeah, you remember, but you still don't truly appreciate how fearsome his kind is supposed to be as he's going up against other humans, right? The wings, he named his, what do they call it? Like
Starts with an A.
a
I
Sekai or
did
something
thoroughly,
like
Bryce
that.
O'Connor, I
Like
did thoroughly appreciate naming your weapon and
it
just the
was after his
relationship he
sister.
has.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. His sister's namesake. Um, yeah. So after the ambush and he's hurt, he then goes and watches for his cousin to get picked up, right? And follows to the meeting of all the big bosses. And then they try one more time to buy him off, right? And he
Or,
pretty
yeah,
much
to
just like
recruit him and buy him
laughs
off.
at them. He's like, I think it's pretty obvious why I'm here, right? No, it's
I'm
not for a
here,
pay
you're
raise.
here, you're gonna
Yep,
die.
yep. And then bam. Um, and then he has the moment with the cousin, right, at the end.
Yeah. And of course, yeah, it's
We do get to see more of our albino priestess, though. She's kind of off doing her own thing. Um, helped get a peace treaty to like barbarian clans as her mentor passes away. But we get a fun hunting scene of her and a friend later on, right?
Yeah,
Where pretty much
using their magic.
she like snipes this deer out of the air after her fellow priest misses the shot, and there's like no marks on it. They just like die. So I wondered later on in the series if how their combat is going to work out, right? Because one of their
Well,
tenets is they
yeah.
cannot murder. When she gets saved from the slave traders, she's pretty much like, no, yeah, these guys were just about to, sell me into slavery and rape me, but don't you dare kill them. So like, how bad does it have to be before she can like join the combat? Because clearly she can kill. It just can't be murdering, right? And so where's that
I
gray
don't
area?
know. I think it was more a killing for sustenance versus, another sentient being and vengeance and all that.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting how that plays out, because clearly they're destined to be together. There was like that one quote about how she was always able to bring him back, in one of the earlier
There were
chapters.
a couple good ones, and yet
Yeah,
again, don't have them in front of me, but one pretty much said, "Oh, he'll be named a son of a son." Or you know what? I might have this. Hold on.
I believe in you. But yeah, so we get to
That's part of
see
it.
the assassin who gets kicked out and loses her powers. So I'm curious if we'll get to see in later books how, she gets pushed to that point where she's able to participate in the combat, right? As we get our Dragonkin party built out. Um, yeah. We took too long to get around to this book. We found Bryce O'Connor in the collaboration. I want to say it was like 2020, 2019. No, it came out in 2019. And this is one of his earlier ones, 2015. And yeah. How goes the hunt?
All right, I lied. I don't have it.
Fair enough. But yeah, let's see what else. We lose the grandmother finally at the end. Do you ever wonder if she was truly gone the whole time, or if it was maybe part of her like magic with the twin gods that she prays to?
That was a weird thing because before that, she had the whole trying to read the signs, which was her gift, and it kept coming up with nothing. And of
Hmm.
course, the head of the tribe is like, whatever, we've been doing good, doing our own thing. We're fine. I'm not worried about it. And she's, more concerned throughout it. And then I'm pretty sure that's a big shock, and I don't know why she's cata can't think of the word.
Catatonic. She's pretty much
That
unresponsive, right?
yeah, she's
Um, the assassins like force feeding her, like pretty much like pushing the food into her mouth where she has to like choke or swallow, sort of a deal. Which is part of the reason why she's around. She has other motives. She's actually working for the cousin's boss to try to learn more magic.
yeah,
Yeah,
but then I also think it could have been part of the magic to say, hey, you've got to be here so that Roz has, you know, a reason to stay,
yes,
as
yes.
well as the cousin has a reason to spend money on you and to stick around and, to get the
Hmm.
aid and
Because they split ways pretty quickly, right? Like it was a cousin, another girl who she just takes off,
yeah.
and the grandmother, and then Raz, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so they try to get by, but he's good for numbers. The cousin got a job for the government, and then he got poached by the syndicate, and he changes his name. His original name is legally declared dead, yet he still calls Raz his cousin, right? So there's
Yeah.
still some connection there. It's not all just cut and run. Um, but yeah, the grandmother commits suicide at the end. Wonder what our assassin's going to do now. Maybe that pushes her towards our albino priestess. Should be interesting. Did this book have enough combat for you, Pete?
Um,
There's never
it
enough
it
combat.
did have enough, or well, so it felt like it was broken into parts, which it was. Towards the beginning, not enough combat because it was like, hey, we're picking him up. You know, he was beaten by slaves, and we're getting more of the
Not enough
moral
combat.
compass.
He's literally a toddler, and you get him to take out two slavers from the get-go. And then he
It's
takes on a wildcat like less than a month later. And then I'm just teasing. I'm teasing. I know what you're saying though. The compared to the later stuff when he's going full, like I'm going to take on 200 of the corrupt city guards. Come
yeah,
at me,
but
bro.
it was well done because the first little section was to teach us his moral compass and to explain the whole, hey, not dragonkin, but you know what I'm saying, how he's supposed to be the one who breaches the gap between the lizard people and the
Or
humans.
prophecy.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
become the prophecy, and then why and how he's accepted into the society, and why he goes all Batman on everybody because they murdered his whole family,
I
and why he
appreciate
has a
your
problem with the slavers.
Yeah, I appreciate your trope names, and I'm sure a lot of our geeks do too. When they say "Go Batman," they get it.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah. Murdered his family.
yeah, all because he wanted to fly. Q.
Well, it's also kind of like the beginning of the end or ending at the beginning where the albino is the one who's supposed to save him, but he saves her first, which sets off the chain
Part.
of events, which puts him where he is. And yeah,
Yeah, they're oh, the weave of their fates are
yeah,
intertwined now. Bum 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 bum. And you're right. So we pretty much just get to experience life out in the caravans for a little bit, not a whole lot. Like after the moment when he becomes accepted and his adopted parents lose their child, we jump to him taking on a scorpion, another fight scene. Um, and they bury the horse, and you get to kind of see the friendly family banter there. And
yeah.
then we're in the city the rest of the time, overturning the corruption.
And then we flee at the end.
Then we flee. Yeah. Bum, bum, bum. I'm curious. I'm going to pull it up to see if we get any teas. This is one of those. It was kind of fun to do a fresh, not completely fresh, because we did read it before we added it to our Geek Out list. But a series that we're actually not ahead on to spoil, and we can speculate a
I've
bit.
been trying to get good at not reading ahead, though.
It's
Yeah,
hard. We might be able to manage it if we keep up with these 2 a week geek outs, because we won't have much time for the next one. So, book 2 talks about Raz is a hunted man, flees to the south. Um, Yeah, it looks like a lot of bounties out on him. Our hero flees and must survives. Oh, there's a Colosseum plot in the second one. That could be fun, like kind of like a Gladiator Dome bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we spend most of the time in the city, which was fine. He does his parkour over the roof bit, which really helped him out. Oh, I thoroughly enjoyed the weapon. Sorry,
Yeah.
full line of thought. Karen Hall said, "What do you think of the cool weapon he has made?" I thoroughly enjoyed it. It's something unique
You
that I
got the
don't see a whole
thumbnail
lot.
ready to pull up?
I think I've got the music queued with it, but there we go. I can mute it.
Yeah. So when he first gets it, it's almost too heavy for him, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he's got those big twin blades that are melted down from his family's weapons, right? And further reinforced. So, yeah. Yeah. White Thatch says, I ruined this book for myself. I keep picturing Gabu form. I got reincarnated as a slime as Raz.
I can see it.
Yeah. Gabu, that's a shorter orc, right?
Mm,
Anyway.
man, it's been a minute.
Yeah, yeah. Is it a bident? See, I wish I knew more
I need
weapons.
to. He says it, and he uses it for a couple chapters where I don't
It
know. I
looks
guess that's
like it.
his
Yeah, a
name for
bident is a
it.
two-pronged implement resembling a pitchfork in classic mythology. Yeah, he called it something different, but it's a pretty much just like that. Oh, White Thatch said no, the leader of the lizard folk. Okay, yeah. Oh yeah. The one that he has his fan club that follows him around and everything. That's not quite as intimidating. Um, yeah. Um, it's a lot of fun. I talked about it in the um, last Geek Out, where dragons are just what every fantasy reader wants to read about, right? We geeked out about it in the Mark of Kings. So to have our main character be this epic dragonkin, like Dragonlance got me into fantasy reading, and they had like the Dracons that were kind of like the nemesis. So to have that flipped around, where here we have the adoptee raised by these caravan traders who they don't end his life, even though he's clearly a threat to them because it goes against their moral code, right? So to bring him up as one of us, and yeah, it was just the little fantasy kid in me was just geeking out the whole time, as the movie with the epic soundtrack goes along in my head of this black scaled dragon with his wingspan swing around his giant pitchfork. Um, yeah.
Yeah. Oh man, I was more combat, more magic, but it's a Bryce O'Connor thing where he plans for the long haul. Like even our prophecy of, the white hair saving him and him going off to the mountains and the snow, which I think he's gonna have a lot of problems initially because Oh, I think he says during his very first, not mission, contract, he almost didn't catch the guy because it was at night and he was so cold and he wasn't moving very well because he is a cold, warm-blooded. I always get him flipped up.
Well, yeah, he's kind of cold-blooded, and he talks about one of the jobs he went, the cold kind of made his life difficult, right? So in a lot of ways, you have to just think of him as a lizard. Um, Anna asks, so do we have a dragon classification system? So it implies that like we don't have actual dragons, right? But we
Well,
do
not yet.
have not yet, right? It's bound to happen. Bound to happen. But yeah, it's pretty much him being a winged back makes him really rare and significant. They talk about them being like the most aggressive of the aggressive. And so he was super, super rare. And he's our hero yet. Like he's this feared, um, cold reptile, black scales, big old wings. His laugh doesn't even sound like a laugh, right? Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I always get them flipped up. But cold-blooded means that they are, essentially tied to their environment where they need the heat.
I don't know about you, but I'm tired to my environment too. And this summer's heat can go the 90 temps. Yeah, too hot. Thanks, no thanks. Do we ever see Raz's true mother and her band and the rest of this book? We don't. We just get that
No.
one point of view, where again, there's also prophecy on their side of things, right?
Yeah, we have the little, I guess, knowing of them being there when we're around the watering hole and they put up with all of the nomads for that portion of the year because they know they can't stop them. And yeah, that's about it. We don't really get a whole lot of interaction with them.
Mm-hmm. Which that'll be interesting to see later because we do get a bit of the foreshadow that he comes back to them, right?
So essentially I envision him doing stuff and then building an army, getting flanked somehow, about to lose everything. And then we have that moment in Lord of the Rings where we feel like our tower and our town's about to be overrun. And then here's Gandalf on his horse and, the whole army he brought over through the charge. Yeah. And then we get the whole, kindred spirit through battle and blood. Totally hypothetical. I haven't read further.
We'll reference this in about 4 more books and find out. Karen said, "I wonder if he will meet them in the next book." That
I
that would
don't
be
know.
cool.
I don't think so because he's going off to the mountains
And then there's
to the
some
snow
Colosseum stuff. Yeah, he's gotta like
potentially.
learn all that he can learn and become the Jedi Master. And then come back with the army of the commons people behind their banner, right? We ride off to war. Um, it's a lot of fun. It was a great origin story, don't you think?
Yeah,
Like we get to
it
see,
did well. I
and it's a nice take on it. I know we joke about the different tropes, right? But how many different, and I know you haven't read as much fantasy as, I went pretty deep down the fantasy rabbit hole, but it's always like the farm hand that then has the mentor come along and say, you are the chosen one, you will like save the day. And then there's like different variations on this, right? And
I don't
we
think we got a wise old man.
we did to a certain extent. We had the grandmother.
Yeah,
She
but
helped
that was
guide
all
the father.
intro origin story stuff. That was like you are the prophesied child, not I'm gonna teach you along the way.
We didn't get that much of the story, but the grandmother and the nomad tribe was that for him, right? Like
Okay.
he learned to play instruments, he learned language, the values, the he was already like a dragon kung fu master with his claws and fangs, and when he was he call it
Slips out of reality? No,
yeah, humanity or whatever,
humanity.
or
That sounds right.
yeah, where he kind of like lets that primal
Animal
instinct
instinct.
urge just
Yeah.
take over. And we get a bit of that. Like Bryce O'Connor is a great author. And um, for this being like his first published book, it's really good. The attention to detail and kind of like the um, character
Description.
building. Yeah, like he does all that early on where like even as he's interacting with people, they talked about how like he would break early on when they first found him for like a sound or like a twig or a scent where just that animal instinct takes over and snarls. But yeah, the in this one he's the orphan, um, and it sounds like he's might have some royal bloodline, quote unquote. If yeah,
Well,
his,
not if you didn't know that, you still know that he's a rare breed among his own kind because he is a
mm-hmm,
winged male.
mm-hmm, yeah. So yeah,
But he's not living up to his harem of women. Typically, the
this
winged
is true.
males stay in one spot
This
and,
is
have
true.
everybody come to him, where the other males roam around more like Genghis Khan, where he sires or they sire a bunch of children with many women's across the land.
You think Raz will get his harem later?
I don't think he has time for it. He's too busy saving the world, but maybe.
Maybe book 3 or book 4.
Harem, third book.
There we go.
Okay, okay.
White Thatch said harem third book. So yeah, he's got a. We need to have our gladiator scenes to make him that much more like one with the force and his dragon kung fu.
Yeah,
Um,
makes sense. Way for him to continue to make money, and I'm sure the other towns are going to be different. Where due
I'm look
to
I'm looking forward to seeing more of the world because we get just the city and then the bit up north, right, from our albino princess and her point of
yeah,
view. There's truly like only 2 point of view characters in this book, right? Minus the one-offs with the dragonkin mother, and we get some of his adoptive father. Um,
and I mean that's fine because we are learning the world as he's learning it, and this is all he
mhm,
knows. So
mhm, yeah, yeah. I'm curious to see more of the world. It was a lot of fun. We definitely got to do a lot more world exploration in the other Bryce O'Connor books. Like the Mark
well,
of
and
Kings,
that's
we go all
where
over there and
if
we got a lot more epic foreshadowing.
yeah, if I'm not talking too much about Mark of Kings, Bryce O'Connor definitely has the long-winded, or not long-winded, it's more like epic fantasy build up,
You need to be long-winded for
hinted
epic
at
fantasy. Yeah,
the
yeah, yeah. The
magic.
multiple plots and stuff.
And then you get the Luke Chimolenko for, I guess this is not a great comparison because I haven't read more of Bryce O'Connor's work at this point, but a little more of like the combat and some of the fight scenes feel a little more
Send
environmentally
Online.
fleshed out.
Yeah,
But
Send Online
I'm
has
sure
some epic
Bryce
combat.
O'Connor gets better
This is
throughout
book
his other
1.
books. Yeah.
Yeah, this is book 1, and the collaborations were freaking awesome. We took too long on this. White Thatch said, but the prophecy says he'll end up with the Ice Princess. And this is in relation to the harem question, but can it be
Or
both?
well, she's just supposed to be
His anchor.
his tie to humanity, because
Mm-hmm.
as of right now, excuse me, initially he had the people who took him in, who are keeping him level-headed, teaching
Mm-hmm.
him. Then he
Mm-hmm.
had his morals and values of, I'm going to get rid of, the slaves, and I'm going to do what's right, and I'm going to be, the Black Knight, but not really. And then he goes off and he's hunted, and, he doesn't have a moment's peace. So he's got to start letting out more and more of his bestial self and slip out of reality. And
I
then
was,
I'm sure
yeah.
he's going to have a moment where, you know, he's bestial. He finds a cave and he's about to murk everybody to,
Then
drench
there's the
himself
harem
in
of
that,
Dragonkin.
drench himself in, the blood of his enemies. And then we have the albino
Yes.
chick. And she
Uh,
rubs his nose and, maybe a little bow chicka bow bow, but probably not.
uh, yeah. See you, Carlos. Appreciate you hanging out.
Bye.
Um, yeah, it's he got his humanity from the nomads, which you hit
Mm-hmm.
on there early on, and then we kind of get to see him slip the other way again and embrace the beast as he pursues revenge, right? And that's
Yeah.
such a common story, and but like every author does it different, and Bryce O'Connor does it really well here,
Well,
right? Like
it's got different elements and different factors.
what drives him, the
Yeah.
rage, the revenge, and how he turns around and ends up helping the people he's trying to get back at. And then finally, he's like, no, no shortcuts, no nothing. Let's go to the top, cut it out, cut the poison out, organs and all. You think we'll see the cousin again?
There's a reason we left him alive, I'm sure.
Do you think
I
he'll have
think
redemption,
he
or do you think he'll become like the new kingpin back there and we'll have to go for round two?
uh
The rival that, embraces the
possibly
corruption.
both,
Yeah.
because he a is essentially the highest guy in the organization, so that means he's in charge, but not really. Um, but B, he also has no reason for him to stay there because some mother's dead, his employer's dead, and pure speculation, the assassin wanted the mother or the grandmother, but the grandmother's dead. So I could easily see both of them tracking down or trying to follow Raz as he flees.
Mm-hmm. White Thatch, the story seems like a variation of the Hercules mythos.
Okay,
Um,
I could see that.
yeah, I didn't catch that first pass, but I could definitely see that too.
Yeah,
Uh,
to give up your child because he's going to be awesome and he's going to save humanity.
yes, even though he's not human. Bump, bump, banana. Uh, yeah, so definitely going to continue the series.
Yeah,
Question mark.
yeah. I'm going to continue the series just because, like, I want to. They only have book one of Mark of Kings, and there's only book one of Iron
It's
Prince.
coming.
So
It's
I'm
coming.
enjoying the author,
He
and
did
I want
say
to.
Iron
I'd
Prince
like.
2 was on the agenda, like upcoming agenda when he hung out with us for Iron Prince. Thanks again, Bryce. Yeah, so of all of them, granted, gosh, sci-fi or fantasy? Fantasy is my roots, but Iron Prince was just so good. I guess we'll just have to bear with this
Or, but
until.
is my. I guess it is sci-fi.
Great question, Anna. So all the Bryce O'Connor, Bryce O'Connor are free on Kindle Unlimited. Not a question, that's a comment. I didn't realize that. I know I checked some of his other ones. So definitely go check him out. I think Kindle Unlimited's $10 a month. I know we got an affiliate link, shameless plug, down below. Typically, you can get a couple months free. Yeah, a lot of fun. Still worth the Audible credit, right? Let me look and
Yeah,
see
the
who it
only
was.
thing
We
I
had a
was a little
new guy.
disappointed with the Audible
Hmm.
was he describes the chuckle that they know is laughter, and they could have audio manufactured it more or less. Like, I would have enjoyed that. It wasn't a big deal.
Yeah. So I might butcher the narrator's name, Michael Naramore. And I went and I checked it out on Audible, and I didn't realize it. I've actually listened to him before, and he narrated the Galaxy's Outlaws, the Complete Black Ocean Mobius missions. And you haven't listened to it yet.
Okay, yeah. I was gonna say,
Um,
no.
it's pretty much Galaxy Outlaws. Think Firefly, the TV series, probably something else you haven't heard of. Which shame, we don't watch a lot of TV, but yeah, like space cowboys with actual wizards. Galaxy's Outlaws, a lot of fun. Ooh, good catch, Karen. The Audible was only $1.99 when you added to the Kindle Unlimited library. I'm going to have to check that out on our next books to see if yeah, that would save us a credit right there.
Yeah,
That,
makes sense
yes,
how they're connected.
yes. Uh, Amazon, Audible, love to hate. Great products. Could do better on the Audible interface when it comes to Windows and mobile. But we're not here to talk about Audible. We're here to talk about Bryce O'Connor and Raz.
Child of the Daystar. Though I did get a chuckle out of when earlier in the book when they named him Raz Asul, and the lead of the caravan goes to the grandmother, and like, really, you think I wouldn't notice the son of the sun? Yeah,
Yes,
nice try. And then like
yes. I'm
the
on to you, old woman.
yeah, and then the fact that the albino is her priestess is of the moon, and so the two stars, he's the day star and she's the night star.
More mythology. Yeah, I'm seeing
He's
more and more
pure
truth to
black
the
and
Hercules
she's
mythos
albino
bit.
white. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, it's a lot
the
of
yin and
fun.
the yang.
Yes, yes. Um, yeah. What else did we miss about this book? We're approaching the 1 hour marker. It's always hard
Um,
to do these justice. A lot of fun. I definitely recommend Kindle Unlimited. Worth it. Pick it up, pop it on the Kindle, try out the $1.99, adding the Audible credit. Do both if you're so inclined. And yeah, sorry. Your thoughts, Pete?
mm, yeah, I wish we got to see more of the lizard kind to kind of get perspective, as well as yeah,
There
he
wasn't as
is
much
of
world
them.
building in the first book. Like we got some, but as far as like the grand scheme of things, and
Yeah,
that's
I
where I
guess
really had
he
to
is
like
still
set my
pretty young
perspective.
though,
Hmm.
where we get him and he's only what they say, like 4 suns or 4 summers
I don't even
old.
think it's that, like 2 to 3. I think like they talk about him as a toddler.
And then I guess we do
Uh,
get a little time hop when he's older. And then
he's a
yeah, anyway,
teenager still.
he's still fairly young.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So, I agree. I had to set my perspective where this is his debut book, and it was a lot of fun. And
Normally, in any
like
other instance, I would already have all 5 and would have marathoned all of them, but I'm trying to focus on just one. So
that, and I was going to go with a Mark of Kings. Like we just get this epic, like truly epic fantasy feel to it. Where be very interesting to see if they're interconnected. But I don't know. I need to do more reading.
This isn't Dakota Crowd?
This is not our boy Dakota Kraut and how much we enjoy it. Yeah, you got next week or not next
Wednesday?
week. I need to retrain myself on these notes because we're not doing them once. We're doing them twice a week. Yes. What we got?
So the God King's Legacy, Verlice. Is that how
Yes.
you pronounce that?
Yes.
By Verlice. I know nothing. I have not listened to it yet. I will be starting after this.
Yes. I'll jump in because this was a personal pick for me because I like to make the squirrel jokes. And this is about a beastkin who's part squirrel who inherited the God King's legacy. And pretty much think you've seen Bleach, right, Pete?
Yeah.
So very much that style of chi and mana with mages and sword spirits, weapon spirits that can come out of their bodies and fight and use their owner's chi. And then she pretty much inherits the God King's legacy, and we get to see this sword spirit who's a sadist come up with these ridiculous training methodologies for this squirrel beastkin, and she just continues to become OP and hilarious because she's still a squirrel and ooh shiny. And the audio narrator, Mayor Trevathan, does an amazing job with it. Catch myself so many laugh out loud moments. But yeah, can't wait to get Peter's take on it. White Thatch asks about algorithm. It is in our upcoming Geek Outs, White Thatch, and we want to make sure not algorithm, but the first one, Artorian's Archives.
7/11, 5 p.m.
Yes.
So,
yes. And if that doesn't work for you, White Thatch, the 7-Eleven at 5, our normal time on Sundays, let us know because we want to geek out with you on it for sure. And anybody else that wants to join us, absolutely.
So 3 weeks, if I can count.
Okay. And yes, I'm not just waiting on one right there. I think we're up to book 3 in that series. Yeah. Good stuff.
For next Sunday, we've got the second?
I believe that's third book, The Jade Lord. Viridian Gate Online. Somebody who also did a collab with Dakota Kraut, just like Dakota Kraut doing a collab with the Artorian Archives. My apologies. I'm going to pull up our author's name. Pete, we're so bad with names.
I know. It takes a while
it's not
for
you
me
guys,
to truly
it's
get
us.
The names.
It
took
it's us.
2 full series before I finally got Dakota Kraut down.
Yes. Dennis Vander Kirken. You are completely good, White Thatch. Keep throwing we're definitely books our way. Absolutely.
We're interested in that series, and it was one of those, like, we had literally covered every one of Dakota Kraut's works, and we were taking
feeling
a break.
A bit guilty.
So, and branching out.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
now that everybody let us know, hey, this changes everything.
It
So
answers a lot of the questions we had in other Geek Outs about the series, right? Um, yeah.
and
Anyway,
then yeah.
next Sunday, 5 p.m. Eastern, the Jade Lord, having a blast there. They actually just released another collaboration in VGO. Did you catch that?
So that's one thing that really excited me. Everyone's been telling me to pick up Viridian Gate online for a while, and
Mm-hmm.
James A. Hunter has been quite the storm for collaboration events. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
Short explanation is everybody is the main hero. So everybody who we pick up in our group, they get their own main storyline and from their perspective. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I've only had a taste of one of them for the Firebrand series,
Yeah, the
but
new
yeah,
one is
the Alchemist,
Resurrection,
right?
a healer, might be an alchemist. Uh, the Heartfire Healer series just came out. Um, oh, hey, Pete, popular,
Mhm.
one of your favorite tropes. It's about a doctor who goes into lit RPG. So doctor turns healer, which makes sense.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's another thing that VGO does well, where it most of the time people become something different in video games where they want to release, but due to the nature of it, it's literally the apocalypse happens, so everybody's choosing something a little more, I guess, mainstream or fits their path.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Um, yeah, it's been fun. Really enjoyed was it the Wings series? The
Or Wings of
Wings,
War series, Child of Daystar.
thank you. Thank you. Um, going to do our best to keep up with these twice a week. That way we can get through more of these amazing series and get current with them. Keep throwing the book suggestions our way. If you guys have requests, toss them in chat, hit us up on Discord.
You guys want
Let
to
us
join
know.
us?
Yeah,
Help
we
me
can.
with my naming convention, or
Yes,
not naming
yes.
convention. My
That's one of the big reasons we bring other people on is so they can help us with names and we could just squirrel all over the place. Um, White Thatch, I want to see a lit RPG full dive with Stephen Hawking's character in it. That's
I'm drawing
one
a
of those.
blank. That name sounds so familiar.
Yeah, he was the scientist with the robot voice that
Oh, yeah, he's like super intelligent, but he's
mhm.
confined to a wheelchair.
It's something that you've talked about before that you liked from the Sword Art Online
Yeah,
series,
that's
right? Like
where
people
Sword
with
Art
physical
Online.
ailments, yet they go into a virtual world where those limitations no longer are a factor.
Yeah,
Um, it's a lot of fun.
and
Yeah.
we kind of get something similar yet different. If you get into the Ritualist, which is the first book of the Completionist Chronicles, where it's different because he's not like super intelligent, but he does end up a quadriplegic because he's um overseas fighting. And he's a medic, and
Mm-hmm.
then
Mm-hmm.
he ends up getting his plane shot out of the air and then put into the game as a potato or vegetable.
Yes. Anna asks, are you guys good with us joining the stream even if we don't get books read? Absolutely. If you're okay with spoilers, come hang out with us. Currently doing it twice a week, Wednesday, 7 p.m. Eastern, currently subject to change, but we've been pretty consistent with our Sundays at 5. Um, just watch social media, hit us up on Discord. We've had friends hang out who are more comfortable in chat behind the keyboard, just want to do mic only or show those lovely faces. But yeah, thanks everybody for hanging out with us. Happy Father's Day to all those fathers out there. Do your best to stay cool to all of those friends in the Northern Hemisphere who are boiling away like us. Yeah.
Yeah. Hope to geek out with you here soon.
Bye.
Bye.